Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Happy Friday. I am Sara Gonzales. Very original show title, I might add. You can find me at AmericanBeautyBySarah.com. Go stock up on your makeup, your skincare. We sell to trans, but we don't necessarily like them. So, by the way, if you guys, hey Donald, hey there, love you, buddy. By the way, if you guys like the hat, go check it out at sarahmerch.com. We've got a whole lot of fun stuff over there. We've got Support Your Local Ice Raids merch. We've got MAGA is for Lovers, Maha Moms Club. We've also got MAGA Moms Club over there. All sorts of stuff. Make sure that you go check it out. I don't know why you would want the tote, but in any event, go check it out. sarahmerch.com. You can get 25% off with code Sarah25. Stephen, why is it so hot in here?
I'm going to guess because the air conditioning is not working. It only seems to be working in one place in the building, which is in this room.
You're kidding.
No, it's freezing in here.
Why couldn't I do the show from in there?
Well, it looks pretty crappy. I mean, look at this. Look at that.
That's a lot of cords.
It's a lot of horrible.
That is a lot of you know what? I wouldn't even care at this point. It's really freaking hot. And
I mean, I can have someone come down and
fan me
on you. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll get someone to come fan you.
Yeah, it's like a what are the big branch? What is it like?
Palm leaves?
Yeah, that. I was gonna say olive. Palm leaves.
Well, those might be big. Are they big? I don't know. Are they
palm
bigger?
Trees are? No.
No, but olive.
I don't even know that is there an olive tree? I don't even know.
Where do they come from? They got to come from somewhere.
I don't know. So, I'm gonna listen. This is a little bit of a toxic work environment. The fact that there's no AC. Just gonna go ahead and say that's can't work under these conditions. I'm gonna sweat. So I don't know if you guys saw President Trump signed an executive order defunding NPR and PBS. This has been a long time coming. It couldn't happen to a more deserving group of people. They are funded through the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. And so President Trump announced the heads of all agencies shall identify and terminate any direct or indirect funding of NPR and PBS. Government funding of news media is not only outdated and unnecessary, but corrosive to the appearance of journalistic independence. And so you look at that and you're like, hell yeah. Now you'd have the left that would say, oh my God, I can't believe that President Trump would cut funding for this nonpartisan news media. That's dictatorial. That's tyranny. And it's like, well, when you look at what NPR and PBS have actually been doing, we really have no business putting our tax dollars towards any of the sort. NPR, for instance, they had a feature on a gay anteater couple for Valentine's Day. Yes, that is your tax dollars being put to good use. In a Valentine's Day exclusive report, NPR has learned there is currently a gay anteater couple at Smithsonian's National Zoo and Conservation Biology Institute in Washington, D.C. Stephen, when you think of Valentine's Day and romance, which, by the way, we don't actually celebrate,
No.
But if you did, would you think of a gay anteater couple at a zoo?
No, I have to say I'm a little intrigued into
Oh, you do like the story.
I don't like it. It's ridiculous. But it's
hold on. Stephen likes the gay anteater story.
No. No, I don't. But I like, what? How do they, that's not possible.
They know?
Do
you need me to explain to you how they know?
Okay, well then by that instance, our dogs are gay. Okay?
That is true. They are lesbians. One of them does mount the other one, and I haven't quite figured out why she does that. But gay anteater couple, happy Valentine's Day. I couldn't think of anything more romantic. Thank you, NPR. So then you have PBS, who was there to tell you Joe Biden is quite acute. Mentally, he's quite acute. Please listen. Don't worry about Joe Biden. He is fine. PBS said, completely unbiased, completely nonpartisan, that Joe Biden was quite mentally acute. Now, aside from all of the gaffes and the not knowing where he was and having to be led by handlers and even then getting it wrong. And all the Easter Bunny had to steer him away from the media because they were worried about what he might say. He's sniffing young children, but PBS said so. All right. Nothing to see here. Now, also, you have NPR telling listeners that being healthy is a form of discrimination. Okay. They were here to tell you, they're here to lecture you on being healthy. A cousin of diet culture is healthism. This isn't a story that's called Diet Culture is Everywhere. Here's how to fight it, fatty. I'm just kidding. Those of you who are listening on podcasts, they didn't actually add the fatty. I did. A cousin of diet culture is healthism, which is this idea that we have to be healthy. There's a moral imperative. There's a lot of judgment that comes with it. And that weight stigma has actually been determined to have a greater impact on the health problem that fat people experience than their weight itself. So hold on. I'm supposed to be more concerned that the fat people are mad about the stigma that's associated with being fat than they are being fat. And that's supposed to be my problem somehow. And shame on me, I guess, for being healthy. Now, I do come at this with a very unique perspective because I am a former fatty. I've been very clear about that. I'm not embarrassed. I'm not ashamed. One of my favorite things is when people actually try to own me by finding a picture of what I used to look like and blasting it on social media. I'm like, yes, correct. I lost 100 pounds. And I kept it off. And I've had 2 babies since then. Come at me again. That's actually one of the greatest accomplishments, that you can think of when it comes to bettering your body. So, okay. So now we're supposed to believe diet culture is wrong. You should just stay fat. Your tax dollars at work, ladies and gentlemen. Here's another one, which is just, you want to talk about rigging the election. Here it was. And of course, your tax dollars funded rigging the election back during the 2020 election when NPR refused to cover the Hunter Biden laptop scandal, saying that there were red flags. This is a Mediaite article. NPR explains why they haven't covered Hunter Biden laptop story. Red flags on veracity and assertions. They say there are many, many red flags. Anyway, many red flags in that New York Post investigation. NPR media correspondent David Folkenflick, he sounds like a loser, detailed most of them here. Intelligence officials warn that Russia has been working overtime to keep the story of Hunter Biden in the spotlight. Intelligence officials, probably the same ones, the same 50 that signed that stupid letter. Even if Russia can't be positively connected to this information, the story of how Trump associates Steve Bannon and Rudy Giuliani came into a copy of this computer hard drive has not been verified and seems suspect. Now, it's like, what else do we have to do to prove to you guys that this was very clear? Hunter Biden never said this wasn't me prancing around naked all the time smoking crack. I've never seen a guy who liked to look at himself naked more than Hunter Biden. They never said, no one ever said, the source never said, this isn't true, this wasn't my laptop, I didn't do it. In fact, instead, he was like suing the computer shop owner for actually doing anything with it in the first place. So it's crazy. We all knew that this was verified and it was a laptop and it was Hunter, but these were not deep fakes. These were absolutely real files, a real laptop with very heinous things on it and multiple crimes. Remember the Marco Polo report? It documented within that laptop, within all of the document dump and the photo file dump and the video dump, it documented numerous, dozens, and if not hundreds of crimes that were uncovered just from that laptop. But NPR is here to tell you that they couldn't verify. They couldn't verify. There were too many red flags. And now you have after the fact, trying to, of course, clean up their image. Now you have after the fact, the CEO of NPR, Catherine Marr, who was like in front of Congress, yeah, okay, mistakes were made. All right. Sorry about it, I guess. Watch.
First of all, I do want to say that NPR acknowledges that we were mistaken in failing to cover the Hunter Biden laptop story more aggressively and sooner. Our current editorial leadership.
Wuhan?
We recognize that we were reporting at the time, but we acknowledge that the new CIA evidence is worthy of coverage and have covered it.
Now, if you guys recall that she was, of course, the Wikipedia chief, formerly. And when she joined NPR, it was a little controversial because, let me just let her explain in her own words how she views. This is, of course, someone who is over, again, taxpayer-funded media. This is supposed to be, I would always steer clear of government-run media. That never seems to work well in like North Korea or Russia or China. But let's play the woman who is supposed to be in charge of non-biased, government-run, taxpayer-funded media talking about what she thinks of the First Amendment and the role of truth. Watch.
The number one challenge here that we see is, of course, the First Amendment in the United States is a fairly robust protection of rights. And that is a protection of rights both for platforms, which I actually think is very important, that platforms have those rights to be able to regulate what kind of content they want on their sites. But it also means that it is a little bit tricky to really address some of the real challenges of where does bad information come from and sort of the influence peddlers who have made a real market economy around it.
I think our reverence for the truth might have become a bit of a distraction that is preventing us from finding consensus and getting important things done.
Interesting. Now, recall that they suspended their own senior editor over there at NPR, Yuri Berliner, who had publicly said that the network had, quote, lost America's trust with its relentless left-wing bias. This was their like veteran editor, and they were mad that he told the truth. So they punished him for telling the truth from a media organization that is supposed to just be telling the truth. Isn't that wild? So this whistleblower actually also revealed that the newsroom over there at NPR had 87 registered Democrats and 0 Republicans, which, yeah, that makes a lot of sense in the coverage, does it not? It makes a whole lot of sense. It should not come as a shock to any of you. There are no Republicans over at NPR, and it shows from the coverage. So you have NPR, and it's like very, very, very clear that NPR and PBS have no business taking taxpayer money to try to swing elections, to try to carry water for old, dead, half-dead presidents, to try and, destroy Western values and Western culture. Talking about gay anteaters. So if you didn't realize it before, you should by now. NPR and PBS, so long, sayonara, good luck getting the money somewhere else because taxpayers don't need to pay for your left-wing bias and your left-wing agenda. But when you look at all of this, I mean, what is the difference between NPR, PBS, and any of the other legacy media, mainstream media, left-wing bias with the CBS and NBC and all of these, ABC with Terry Moron over there, who we just played a couple days ago, interviewing the president and doing a terrible job. And so you look at it and you're like, where's the difference? Spot the difference. I don't see one. You've got CBS over there that I could not believe when I read this today. CBS, remember, they're being sued by President Trump, literally being sued right now by President Trump for the way that they edited their Kamala Harris puff piece that they aired right before the election. Remember, right? I mean, God, it's such a gaslighting thing that they do when they accuse you of the very things that they are doing. They were, of course, rigging the election, trying to, Kamala can't utter a single sentence without making herself sound epically retarded. So they had to do a lot of editing in that interview. And they are being sued because of the editing that they did, right? So the edits were entirely deceptive. It was media malpractice, the way that they did all of this. And we find out this morning that the nominations for the 46 News and Documentary Emmy Awards were just announced. And 60 Minutes, landed several nods, most notably in the Outstanding Edited Interview category for its primetime special featuring then Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. So, isn't that great? Isn't that great? The same outlet that is responsible for media malpractice, for trying to sway the outcome of an election by trying to make Kamala sound not retarded, is now being rewarded by being nominated for an Emmy.
And to give them some slack, that's got to be really hard to do.
Edit
Her to not make her sound like a retard.
That's fair. That is fair. Oh. Wait, no. You're not going to make me a CBS apologist.
I'm not saying it's right.
No. So just as a reminder, CBS, 60 Minutes, they are, of course, oh my God, they're so good at editing. They're so good at editing, in fact, that they need a nomination for an Emmy because they are so good at editing. And so let's just show some of that editing of Kamala Harris, okay? Because when you watch the full, you have no idea what this baddie woman is saying. But when you watch the edited version, they cleaned it up quite a bit. Watch the edited.
Would you meet with President Vladimir Putin to negotiate a solution to the war in Ukraine?
Not bilaterally without Ukraine. No. Ukraine must have a say in the future of Ukraine.
As president, would you support the effort to expand NATO to include Ukraine?
Those are all issues that we will deal with if and when it arrives at that point. Right now, we are supporting Ukraine's ability to defend itself against Russia's unprovoked aggression. Donald Trump, if he were president,
it sounds great so far.
Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. He talks about, he can end it on day one. You know what that is? It's about surrender.
Would you meet with President Vladimir Putin
competent I've
to
ever heard
negotiate
her.
a solution to the war in Ukraine?
No, this is unedited.
Bilaterally without Ukraine. No. Ukraine must have a say in the future of Ukraine.
Okay.
How about, as president, would you support the effort to expand NATO to include Ukraine?
Those are all issues that we will deal with if and when it arrives at that point.
So if you go and watch the full unedited version, it is vastly different. It is vastly different than what CBS chose to air. But hey, you know what? At the end of the day, they get rewarded for bad behavior because now they're nominated for an Emmy. So what is the difference between CBS and the PBSs and the NPRs of the world? None of them deserve any taxpayer funding. Just like The Blaze doesn't get any taxpayer funding. We don't get any taxpayer money to come and do what we do. In fact, we get far worse than that. We not only get taxpayer money, we not only not get taxpayer money, we also get heavily censored, we get demonetized, we get hit at every turn because we are here trying to tell you the truth. Well, on that note, I'd like to remind you guys to subscribe to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. The recently remonetized, it only took us 2 years, but we're back in the game and I'm hoping that we stay monetized for at least 2 years, at least 2 years, and much longer. Obviously, I saw some of you guys were like, "Oh my God, there's a bug in here. Oh my God, there's a bug in here. What is it?"
What kind of bug is it?
It's a cockroach. It's so big. Please kill it. Wait, kick it off my carpet and then kill it, guys. Oh my God, it's running away. Listen, I've kept my composure with a lot of things that I've seen on set, and that thing was too big to keep my composure on. So as I was saying, you guys were, is it dead? Okay. You guys were complaining because you were like, I'm really happy that you're monetized, Sarah, but I don't like that I have to watch ads now. Hey, stop it. You guys are fun suckers. We are excited that we are monetized again. And please, I understand. You got to watch the ads, but watch them. because we made $0 on YouTube for 2 years. All right. So Sara Gonzales Unfiltered, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button. And, maybe if we get enough subscriptions, we won't have cockroaches in the studio. Share the show with a friend. Want to thank our sponsor, Preborn. So this is Mother's Day month. It is officially Mother's Day month. Mother's Day is around the corner. So number one, make sure you get your mother something nice because birthing babies is no joke. And number two, let's celebrate life all month long with Preborn. They are doing God's work over at Preborn. They've got their network of clinics that exist exclusively to offer love and support to pregnant mothers who are feeling scared, they're feeling alone. They've been told by so many people that they are supposed to go and abort their babies. It's just a clump of cells. Don't worry, you won't regret it. And so they're stressed and they're scared. And so when they come to Preborn, they actually are not only welcomed, but they are also offered a free ultrasound to actually see and hear the precious life that's inside of her. And the majority of time when she hears that heartbeat, when she sees that ultrasound, she sees that baby inside of her, she's going to choose life. So this month of May, we are challenging all of our viewers to please help us bring life to both babies and mothers. Our goal is to sponsor 600 ultrasounds. Now, one ultrasound is only $28. 5 ultrasounds, $140. So every penny goes toward loving mothers and babies well, and we will keep you updated on how many babies we will save together this month. Please, please join us, even if it's just one ultrasound. One ultrasound, you're saving a life. One ultrasound counts. You can go to preborn.com/Sarah. Please help us over at preborn.com/Sarah. Welcome to hell, John Doyle, Blaze TV contributor and host of Heck Off Commie, along with Jaco Booyens, Blaze TV contributor and host of The Bottom Line, along with Eric July, Blaze TV contributor and founder of Rippaverse Comics. It's real. I said that because it's really hot in here, not because you don't enjoy coming on my show. Am I lying?
I consider the show heavenly. But it's hot.
It's really hot. I know. I feel bad for you. You look so lovely and you must be burning up, but you look great. So,
Hey, they say there's a price. So,
so I don't know if you guys saw this. You've got all of these rogue judges when it seems like every single day you've got another judge that's giving some order to try to prevent President Trump from deporting illegal criminals, because we're supposed to simp for illegal criminals now. And you have this Biden appointed judge in California named Jennifer Thurston, who just gave this crazy order that the Trump administration has to have ICE get a warrant to deport an illegal. Which is it's totally crazy. It's never happened. You had a deporter in chief, Barack Obama, who deported a ton of people. He never needed that. Bill Clinton, and they never needed any of this. But now the judge is trying to say that President Trump needs a warrant. And it's so interesting when you see all of the conflicts of interest that many of these judges have. This judge is no different. This judge, actually, shocker, is married to a real estate broker named Mark Thurston, who actually posted videos talking about how President Trump's immigration policy is going to hurt his business. So he actually profits from illegal immigration. And here's some of that. Watch.
Immigration policies of the United States are going to be changing shortly. So how will this impact real estate? Central Valley of California, roughly 10 to 30% of the labor that works in new construction is undocumented. But the other factor that nobody's talking about is what happens to all of those laborers that currently rent apartment units or rent houses. So in the agricultural world in the Central Valley, that is upwards of 50% of the employees. So this could result in upwards of 9,500 people being displaced out of their rentals. So as a landlord, you could be in neighborhoods that would see a spike in vacancy. Who is going to backfill those units, and how long is that going to take? You need to be very proactive on staying on top of your rents and addressing the needs of your residents in order to keep them happy, prepared to pivot quickly if you end up getting vacancy due to tenants who have been relocated out of the country.
So clearly, nothing to see here. I'm sure it's just totally not coincidence. I'm sorry, it is total coincidence that this judge is married to a man who has said it's going to be bad for business if we start actually sending illegals back home. You love how they use the term undocumented, and also that he's bragging about how, they're undocumented and they get paid less money. That's why they're hiring them. So they're like, it's fine. We're just importing slave labor. We don't want to pay actual Americans real wages. So we'll just import slave labor instead. That's totally fine. And I want to play, because of all of these politicians, because of all the judges, because of all the lawmakers, the governors, whoever it is that are trying to thwart President Trump's agenda. Tom Homan was asked, Borders Are, remember, SarahMerch.com. Borders Are, Tom Homan was asked about, arresting maybe some of these people who are trying to thwart President Trump's agenda illegally. And here's what he said.
So the president signed an executive order just this week threatening to defund sanctuary cities for their policies. Why not just arrest the leaders who are harboring and shielding illegal aliens, actually terrorists, from deportation?
Wait to see what's coming.
Wait till you see what's coming is what he just said.
Yeah.
With the greatest smirk I've ever seen. So I'm like, okay. Ordinarily, look at that smirk. Ordinarily, I'd be like, no, I mean, they're not going to do anything. But with Tom Homan, I don't know, man. I take him pretty seriously.
Exactly 24 hours ago today, I was sitting in front of Secretary Kristi Noem in a conference room where she said something very similar, where you have to read between the lines to remember Tom answers up to Secretary Noem. Mm-hmm. This is Department of Homeland Security, HSI, ICE. There's so much in that statement. Yes, I believe there's a lot coming. They're preparing in the statement from that individual who benefits off of slave labor and etc. He uses things like undocumented, illegal. He's talking about, hiring at lower wages. They know what they're doing. The crisis with judges is a real crisis in our country. I met with Judge Vance Day, who's now at the Department of Justice in D.C., and it's a real concern for the administration because judges have gone rogue. So I think we need to see a little bit of consequence to that question to Tom Homan, and one or two get arrested, and it'll change quickly. I mean,
right.
The cockroaches will scatter.
Speaking of,
I know.
There was a cockroach on my set earlier.
I did that intentionally.
And they told me that was one of, I'm like, oh,
one of the judges?
One of the demons right here.
One of the judges was here in the studio.
All the demons that we're slaying all the time just started to creep up onto my studio. They told me that he was like, they all watched as he started like walking onto my set.
One thing, he says policy, right? Immigration policy is changing. Yeah, policy changed. The law doesn't. We're going back to immigration law. Mm-hmm. You're illegal, you go.
Mm-hmm. Yep. John?
Yeah, the chief executive is trying to enforce the laws that are already on the books. There shouldn't be anything controversial about that. And we talked about this last week, and I really had a great time with it, how the courts have gone rogue, and they don't function as how people are taught about in school. It's like this objective body which monitors everything that's going on and says, you can't do that. Constitution says no, you can do that. It's permitted. They actually just wait until there are victories which would not come about naturally because the people don't want them. Like all of the left's greatest victories in the 20th century were because the court just discovered the rights in the Constitution to things like contraception, abortion, gay marriage in 2015, things that when put to a national vote, people would not have voted for. They would not have voted for representatives to then pass those through the Congress or for presidents. I mean, even Barack Obama in 2012 had to run as a guy who's saying, no, I don't agree with that. I support traditional marriage. And so it's a very convenient system for the left to use the courts to get victories passed through when they can't do it democratically or through, our constitutional republic. But then also when you have a president who not only is just enforcing laws, but who is constitutionally permitted to use the power of the executive branch to do those things, then all of a sudden the court comes and says, actually, no, you're not allowed to do this, and we're going to discover reasons X, Y, Z, Y, and we're going to invoke our power to prevent you from being able to do what people actually elected you to do. So I totally agree. I think the judicial system at the federal level is just completely out of control, and there needs to be things done about it. I mean, I understand that arresting judges is kind of scary, but the more you think about it, I mean, it probably is just one or two, not judges like all of them, but one or two here or there. It could be a good thing, I think.
Yeah, Eric.
Well, that already started happening, did it not? We talked about it last week, right?
2 weeks ago.
Maybe it was a couple of weeks ago where a couple of them had already got arrested because they are absolute crooks. But they don't even, this is what's interesting, especially with the Supreme Courts. And by that, I'm talking about these various like circuits in states, not just the Supreme Court of the United States. how they kind of rely on precedents willy-nilly. Right, because there's often precedents that will say on various. I mean, you can find any case, just pick one where they've already actually ruled that. Let's say the president was able to deport people or whatever, but they have like this sort of flaky reasoning behind. Well, now that's no longer true. And this is their last line of defense. They've utterly failed at the congressional level. They failed, obviously, with Donald Trump becoming president. So there has been a complete shift from the general public on a lot of these issues pertaining to immigration. And I don't really even think that it's as black and white as red v. blue, because there's a lot of people that historically have voted for Democrats who they're not on the same page as they are. And I think this is what has divided their base, because they're not as radical on the subject like immigration as they were. They were for the marriage and the gays and all this other stuff, but now they're like, wait a minute, especially once it started to impact a lot of these minority communities, definitely during the times where they were being bused in like New York City. So a lot of people aren't for this, but I think the status quo, rather the whatever you want to call the Democratic establishment, this is their last ditch effort. They've clearly sent the memo out. Like, if you can find a reason, look for it. If it's not there, make it up. Make it up if you got to, but just stop, or at minimum pause it. Maybe going into the midterms.
I think it's a delay game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's a delay game,
Yes,
and
they're
it's just
trying to
slow
run
them
the clock
down. If you can't stop them, run the clock, filibuster, or just run the clock out. And they think there is a hope, and this is something I picked up this week in D.C. in 20-something meetings in D.C. They hope that they can get a Hakeem Jeffries to give Mike Johnson a run for his money in the midterms, and there's some crazy support for Hakeem, and so it's a delay game, I think, through the courts. But justice is supposed to be blind.
Well, it's
ideally.
I mean, I think we could tell after the 91 indictments and 34 felony counts that it was not blind at all. And I mean, when you take a step back and remember, I know that we've been talking about this at great lengths, but it's really worth repeating who these people are fighting for. Like, they are literally simping for MS-13 gang members and Tren de Aragua gang members. Like, they are actively trying to bring these people back into our country. And the rap sheet for this Kilmar Abrego Garcia guy just gets worse and worse the more we hear. Now we hear there's police dash cam footage from Tennessee of this guy being pulled over and suspected of human trafficking. And it was only at the request of Joe Biden's FBI that they let him go in the first place. Here's that police dash cam footage.
How dark's the back windows? Window? Stand by. How dark are they?
The colors.
Yeah.
From Texas is good.
How many rows have you got in here? 4?
Where?
4 seats? 4 rows of seats?
Yeah, it's three seats. Yeah, with it. Yeah.
Did y'all put an extra one in?
Huh?
Did y'all put another one in?
No.
Did it come like this?
Use the truck.
I've never seen one with that many seats in it.
The little one. What you say? He's my boss.
I said I've never seen one with that many
No
seats.
comprende.
Yeah. That's why I was asking if you put an extra one in.
Conveniently.
Yeah.
No, it's the same.
No inglés.
Like this.
Okay.
You know what you got, right? You know what you got here, right? He's hauling these people for money, is what he's doing. But sometimes they commingle dope. No,
but
there's 8 people in there.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know that. They put an extra row of seats.
8 people.
Yeah. So he's getting paid to haul these people, probably to Maryland.
Trafficking.
8 people he was trafficking.
In persons. Trafficking in persons. Yep.
You know all about that.
It's my life's work.
I mean, so case closed on that one.
Should have been arrested that day. Should have been investigated that day. But he had a friend in the White House. A friendly.
Poopy pants.
Poopy Pants said, come in, commit crime, traffic people, traffic fentanyl, have Americans die, all good.
Yeah.
And then that's an officer on the ground who then gets a order from who?
Joe Biden's FBI
from the FBI. An officer on the ground identified, you know what you got here, right? He's hauling these people. An officer to an officer, identifying the situation accurately, not taking him into custody, getting a call from the FBI. Who's not on site, who's not on scene, who doesn't see the film on the windows, who doesn't see the extra row of seats, just magically knows that, no, he's good to go.
Yeah. I mean, it's...
Come on.
I know. I know. It is such treasonous behavior that, and it really frustrates me that these people, I don't think, are ever going to be held accountable. Like, Joe Biden should be charged with treason. Alejandro Mayorkas should be charged with treason. And I realize that people think that that's hyperbolic and they think that it's exaggerating, but it really isn't when you consider how much they did to make us less safe, and they just did it right in front of our eyes and boasted about it. And now it's like our mess to clean up, and they don't even... and by the way, instead of letting us clean it up, they're just working actively to try to not let us do it. And in regards to this guy, you've got his wife, who all of the receipts are starting to come out about, we talked a couple of weeks ago about the police reports that show that she was really scared for her life. He was beating her. He was, bruising her. And I want to play just another receipt came out back from 2020. She was pleading for court protection from her lovable teddy bear MS-13 gang member husband, Garcia. Watch.
I came to fill out a protective order. I think it was in December. But I didn't show up to the court because his family washed my brain telling me that his dad was sick and not to do it. So I didn't do anything. But after that, it was I would call the police. I have a lot of police reports, and I kept trying to get to the door basement to try to open the door, and then he pushed me. So then when I was able to go outside to get a phone, I called 911 from a disconnected phone. Now they took a long time to get to the house. It was probably 20-30 minutes. So I saw a neighbor walking his dog, and I opened the door and I was like, help. And then when he heard me, he grabbed me from my hair and then he slapped me. And then the neighbor, he didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to react. I have pictures of the evidence, all the bruises, because even on Wednesday, he hit me around 3 in the morning. He would just wake up and hit me. And then last Saturday for my daughter's birthday party, before I went to my daughter's birthday party, he slapped me 3 times. And then last week I did call the police. My sister called the police because he hit me in front of my sister.
If you can't trust a gang member to not be violent, who can you trust these days?
That's a very interesting question. This is, one of the reasons I'm excited that the borders closed now is not only because of all the people coming in, but frankly, the parts of the world that they're coming from are uncivilized in ways that Americans just don't understand. The behaviors that they practice are very regular in terms of things like domestic violence, abuse. And I'm not a feminist or anything, but we have a tradition in our country of how men and women ought to get along. And in every part of the third world, whether it's Africa or India or many parts of Asia or Latin America, they abuse women physically, they molest their female family members, there are issues with pedophilia. I know it's very common to say white people and their cousins, but it's dude, if you want to pull out the graphs, we can pull out the graphs, because that actually is not the way that these things tend to go. And now as the country is sort of changing because the border's been wide open, you're going to see more instances of this. And obviously this guy's a gang member, but even just across the board, which I'm not happy about. And you see a lot of money going to the right-wing influencers who are trying to ad hoc describe this behavior as positive, and they think it's funny because it's at least they have their women in check, haha. And it's dude, you mean
your Andrew Tates of the world?
Those kinds of people, exactly.
Yeah.
And yesterday,
I was the problem of the world.
I was at UNT. Doing a table event, Trump is doing great, prove me wrong. And I ended up getting into it with one of these people about colonization. And they said, when the British came to India, they did all sorts of horrible things to Indians. And I was what? Hanging the men who are trying to burn widows, which is a thing that would happen is if your husband died, they would literally throw you into a fire pit and burn you. And then the British came in and they were can't be doing that. And so they started hanging people and then they just shut up. And it's everything that goes on in the rest of the world tends to be very ugly and violent and bad. And we're trying to insulate ourselves from that. And that's why they want the border open. They want Americans and our wives and our sisters to be terrorized by these people.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and let's take a quick break and we'll be back with more. All right, now we can get into this most controversial topic here. On all of social media, you had this Minnesota mom named Shiloh Hendricks, who was caught on camera at a park. And just for the context, she's yelling the N-word at a 5-year-old boy who she accused of taking her bag or rummaging around through her bag. And I want to play the clip, and then let's talk about it much.
Did you call him the child? Did you call the child word?
None of your business.
It is my own business. You call him. Okay, why don't you have the boss to say it right now again?
You.
Okay. All right, that's what you say.
You don't go digging through people's shit, you dumb.
Nobody digging into your shit.
A little kid just did, you dumb.
That little kid, you call him.
Yeah.
The little child.
What if he acts like one? He's gonna.
Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child, 5-year-old, the N-word.
If that's what he's gonna act.
That's
like.
what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
You know that's a hate speech, and you can be recorded for that.
I don't give a shit.
Huh. Okay, we'll see about that. What the internet has to say about you.
Now, I obviously don't agree with the term hate speech. You have the right to be an asshole in this country. I very much believe that. But what's very troubling to me is that this woman has raised over $300,000 from donors online to help her protect her family. Oh, and by the way, for context, the 5-year-old boy had autism. This wasn't like a little boy who was just running, some hoodlum running around causing problems. This was a mentally disabled boy that she lashed out at. And now she is earning money for it. And I just, I wanted to get y'all's thoughts because I feel like as conservatives, we saw what happened with Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony, and they raised a ton of money for Carmelo Anthony. And we were like, that feels gross because he just killed someone. And now conservatives are turning around and saying we need to support her because she's one of our own. Not one of mine. Not one of mine. I would never I wouldn't call anyone that, let alone a 5-year-old child.
I'm really concerned for the child on her hip.
Yeah.
I'm very concerned for the children in her home. Obviously, it doesn't matter. I praise God for that child and that I hope he has loving parents with, did you say autism? Mm-hmm. Right? It doesn't matter. Autistic, non-autistic. I have a 5-year-old.
Right.
I have a 5-year-old. He's 5 years old.
Right.
It number one, if he took something of you, it's not hard to get it back.
Right.
It's very easy. You find the parent or the guardian who's there. Number one, you don't go after a child that way. Definitely not with language like that. My number one concern is for the child on her hip. Mm-hmm. And no, do not support her financially because you may be supporting an abuser who may be abusing, or at least verbally possibly, her own children at home. This whole ride or die nonsense on conservatism, honestly, I'm sorry. The Bible is above the Constitution, okay? And the Bible is above your conservatism or your tribe. Wrong is wrong and right is right, and that's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like I also support free speech, but I would never insinuate that there are not negative consequences associated with the way that you use your speech.
Yeah, this whole scenario is a little weird. I don't know how much truth it is, but I was looking into it, and the guy that apparently recorded it was on some weird stuff as well. And probably, I guess you can go look at it for yourself if you're interested in that. Probably does not belong near a playground.
Should not be at a park
either,
with children
at all.
Yeah.
Considering that, so you have that going on, and it just seems to just show just how, for lack of better terms, excuse my language, up culture is right now. As far as the word and that she's using, I'll be so glad, hopefully in my lifetime, that word gets like nullified to the point to where people hear it and it's just like whatever, because it just bores me to death that's what triggers it. And right. And yeah, to your point, I don't know what this chick is on as far as who she aligns with or anything.
Right.
On the other hand, and I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't acknowledge it, I do get a sense that white folk in this country are getting fed up just in general, right? And how that manifests itself in the way of a blowback is how it manifests itself. And I think that we are on the brink. If we don't get our shit together, we are on the brink of some conflict that I don't think anybody is prepared for on any side, because this crap keeps getting drummed up, right? So that's generally just my position. It's a screwed up situation. I mean, you look at it, looking at it from the parent's perspective. It's like, yeah, do you approach a kid with that? Do you lash out at them?
Never.
You probably don't, right?
Never.
And
Never.
if you gotta lash at somebody, maybe it's the kid's parent. Like, what?
Go to the parent.
Yeah, like, hey,
Also, like
I can't check him, but I can check you,
Right.
Yes, of
right?
course.
Like, so,
Of course.
And the parent clearly, well, I would assume, was not paying attention
Correct.
to what their child was doing. Otherwise, the child would not have had the ability to go rummage through and take something out of some woman's purse.
Right, right.
So why take it out on the kid?
Right.
That's not someone I don't align with
I don't
that.
know. And that's a whole different scenario. Like I said, I think that speaks to more where we're at culturally.
Yeah.
Because she's like, I'm unapologetically saying this. If
Yeah,
that's how you going to act, that's what I'm going to call you. Right. And I just think that the reason why people are supporting them, again, we have to acknowledge that. I don't think it's even simply about conservatism. I think it's just about, with regards to race relations, there's a lot of people that are fed up, and the tribes are being, the lines are being drawn in the sand. Tribes are forming, and it's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Were they incentivized to get put in that position, right, by way of the actions of other people? I don't really have the answer for it, but I mean, we have to at least take all of that into consideration.
Got like 30 seconds, John.
Well, I didn't really feel like I had much to add, being that, the African Americans at the table were maybe a little bit more qualified to speak on these.
There's only one.
Yeah, there's only one.
There's only one at the
Only
table.
one African American.
Technically, that's very true.
That's me.
That's true.
That's an American.
That's right. That's right.
That's me. Hello.
No, I agree a lot with what Eric said. I think that we all understand that, and even the guy, like when he's filming, he's not actually angry the way that.
No. That's why he said it went to the internet, right?
He's saying, "Come on, do it.
Yeah.
Let me say the thing so I can get you in trouble." And at that point, it's just egos, and she made a bad call. Financially, maybe not. And so, I don't think that people are actually like rallying to be like, "I support absolute free speech," to say the N-word. But it's because they are so mad, and they understand that these like incentives exist where it's the worst thing in the world is saying that. I've seen people like with the Luigi thing, murderers, but you say the word, that's the worst thing ever. And so they're doing that to be funny, to troll, and because of those tensions building up, I think.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be right back. All right, again, make sure to check me out over at AmericanBeautyBySarah.com. Also, make sure that you are following Rippaverse.com. Go check it out. He's doing great work over there. Make sure that you are following Jaco Booyens. Where do you prefer, Jaco? Instagram. Follow him, along with John Doyle, Heck Off Commie on YouTube. Just make sure that you're following these guys. They're much smarter than I am. That's why I brought them.
No, we're not.
John's like, well, I mean, yeah.
He thinks he is, but no, we're not.